Well, what's going on? It's Nick. Afternoons here at 95.9 The River. And I've been looking forward to talking to this guy for a while because my family and I have been going to Brookfield Zoo for years since I was a kid. We have kids now, 8 and 6. We're members. We go all the time. So I'm invested personally into knowing what the heck's going on at Brookfield Zoo. And if you've been paying attention, it's been in the news. They are coming up on their 100th anniversary in a few years, their 90th anniversary this year. So they've released what they call the New Century Plan. And my goodness, there is a lot. It is big. It is very exciting. So if you're going to talk to somebody about that, you might as well get somebody who knows. He's the president and CEO of Brookfield Zoo Chicago. He's a leader in conservation efforts around the world, extensive background in veterinary medicine. He's a researcher. He teaches 100 peer-reviewed studies. He's training vets while teaching out at U of I. I'd like to welcome in Dr. Mike Adkesson. Dr. Mike, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, man, first off, everyone good over at the house? I know wife and kids, you got school starting soon. Everyone doing well?
Yeah, everybody's doing great. My son started high school this week, so that's an adjustment for us. But day 3, it's going well so far.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you got older sons than that, or older kids or younger kids? Is high school the oldest or the youngest?
He's the oldest. I've got freshman in high school, 6th grade, and then we've got an almost 2-year-old. So big gap there.
Oh
keeps us busy.
That's awesome. Glad to, are they excited that like their dad's the Brookfield Zoo guy?
They are. I've been here for over 15 years. Most of that spent as a veterinarian. Only the last few years in the CEO position, and I do think my kids feel my stories have gotten less exciting because, I used to always, what animal did you work on today? What did you see? And they don't find some of my meetings nearly as exciting as they did the clinical vet work.
Sure. Yeah. A little more business now than direct animal work like that. But let's get into this because there's so much to talk about, man. First off, 90 years this year, 100 years coming up. And we'll get into some of the exciting details in a second. But when do you remember was the very first moment someone, brought up to you or you brought up to somebody else about, hey, now's the time that we need to start looking toward the future? Like, how long has this been in the works?
So this has been in the works for a while, and really with my predecessor in the CEO position, talks of this kind of started right before the pandemic. Obviously, that disrupted everything, but really when I took the helm, this was sort of my marching orders from day one from our board was, we need to get this next century plan moving forward. We need the vision for where we're headed, and so really from day one, we've been working on this, and it's been such an exciting journey. It's been so much fun. We've had so many people involved, staff, volunteers, board members, community stakeholders. So it's just been a wonderful exercise to bring people together and create this vision for our future.
So several years in the making. I think maybe the first inkling people started to notice that things were changing and evolving at the zoo was probably the logo and the name.
Yeah.
When it became, Brookfield Zoo and the website was, Chicago Zoological Site or czs.org. And now it's Brookfield Zoo Chicago. And people are wondering, like, why would they tack on Chicago? They're in Brookfield. Can you address that real quick?
Absolutely. We really, we've operated with a dual identity for many years. So Chicago Zoological Society being the parent organization, conservation programs, education programs, our work around the world, and Brookfield Zoo being the destination here that everybody knows and loves. And we really, as we looked at that kind of split identity, wanted to really unify that brand together into Brookfield Zoo Chicago and really allow us to keep the historic residents of Brookfield Zoo that everybody in the Chicagoland region knows, but really wanted to lend ourselves to kind of that global stature of the city of Chicago and also better represent the brand outside in all of the different programs and work that we do throughout the region as well as around the globe from a conservation standpoint. So it was really a great opportunity to bring that together, and knowing that we were getting ready to launch into this big redevelopment and next century plan, it just seemed like the perfect time to do it.
For sure. And I think anyone that goes to the zoo now is starting to see some work done on a lot of that expansion too. Like, the new, I've been to the zoo a million times. I can find my way there, but the actual names of the buildings kind of escape me. You're building with a place where you saw the apes. You know,
Yeah, yeah. Tropic
Tropic-
World.
that seems to be, was that like the very first big construction
Yeah.
project going on?
Yeah, so we are in the middle of an expansion to Tropic World. So this will be tropical forest. It opens next year, next summer. A $66 million project to create new outdoor habitats for our gorillas, our orangutans, many of our monkey species. It's going to be phenomenal. We are so excited about this project. It's it's over half done at this point. So we've really been watching it come to life, and it's just going to be such a game changer here at the zoo for our guests, for our animals, and it sets the tone for everything that we want to do moving forward in terms of these large, open, expansive habitats for our animals. We're creating these immersive journeys for our guests as they really feel like they're within the landscape with the animals outside, and it's just going to be amazing. And it gets our gorillas and our orangutans outside, which is something that's been a goal for many years now. Tropic World was state of the art when it was built in the 1980s. It's still an amazing facility in many ways, but the opportunity to get these animals outside is something that's really important to us.
What are the cool features of the building that guests and visitors will be able to take advantage of?
Yeah, so the building itself, the addition that's going on to Tropic World, the lower level of that will contain our gorilla conservation center. It's new holding areas for all of our gorillas, new bedroom spaces, a brand new indoor habitat space there, 2 stories tall, amazing interior architecture on it. And then the second story of that building is going to be home to our King Conservation Leadership Academy, which is all of our educational programs primarily focused around teens, but extending down into younger age ranges as well. And this is a program that teaches conservation leadership. It teaches science and STEM education. It provides career and college readiness programming. And it's a great program. And this is such an exciting way to bring it together with this new habitat. So the space that these scholars will be working out of overlooks the gorilla habitat. So it's a really unique space, lets us teach conservation stories, animal welfare, animal behavior monitoring, all kinds of things. So really neat opportunity to bring both the education, the conservation programming together right there with this incredible new habitat for the animals.
Yep, it's going to be great.
The outdoor spaces are even better. So these outdoor yards for the gorillas and orangutans, they're going to be incredible. They've got really high canopy trees, a lot of live spaces with plant life, water features, and then these huge expansive glass windows for our guests to be able to look in at the animals. So,
well, if the monkeys and apes are going to be outside now, I think Brookfield Zoo is probably going to get a lot louder, isn't it?
it will, I'm sure.
Let's zoom out a little bit. Talk about what the next century plan was all about as far as physically growing the footprint of the zoo, right? Because you're actually expanding the acreage, correct?
We are. So we're expanding. Well, we're expanding within our footprint is the way that we talk about it. So we sit on 235 acres of property that is part of the forest preserves of Cook County. And within that 235 acres, our guests that come through the zoo only see a portion of that. So there's a lot of undeveloped property, primarily on the western end of the zoo. That's the space that we're looking to grow into. And really, this is rooted in this idea of we want to be creating these large, open, expansive habitats for our animals. And this is just beautiful acreage to work with. And our intent is certainly not to, bulldoze it down and pave it and start over. Our intent is to be able to weave these animal habitats into this incredible forest canopy that we have to work with. And it's such a blessing for us. There's so many zoos that are landlocked and have no space to grow. And we've got all this wonderful acreage available to us to really grow into. So we're looking at these spaces as an opportunity to make these just really immersive journeys for our guests that will make them feel like they've, sort of moved to a different part of the world and are seeing animals out in these very natural landscapes and habitats.
So when this is all said and done, the map of the zoo is going to be pretty significantly different than what it is right now, right? You're going to be moving animals from here to there, if you're familiar with the bison being over here, they might be over here now. What was the logic behind that, and what will the map kind of look like?
Look like? It's a great question. Just to use an example, the northwest corner of the property. So right now, as you go down the row of habitats there along 31st Street, you're looking at a lot of individual animals, one after another. So you've got your zebras, you've got your addax, you've got your camels, and they're all kind of in these traditional individual yards. That's the way that many zoos displayed animals, and the way that Brookfield Zoo was sort of initially designed. And that's the dynamic that we really wanted to shake up. We wanted to move in a direction where we're creating landscapes that are more representative of the areas of the world that these animals are from. And within that, you've got different animals living together. And so really looking at this as an opportunity to create habitats where you're going to see giraffes and zebras and ostrich and some smaller hoofstock species together. And then these habitats are interconnected and interlinked so that we can move animals between them. So the animals are in different locations on different days, which is that dynamic is great for them. It's stimulating, it's enriching, and it also creates this experience for our guests as they move through these different regions. It's going to be more representative of a safari in Africa, where you don't always know exactly what you're going to see around the corner, and really wanting to make that an exciting experience for our guests. And we know that many people are never going to take a trek through the jungles in Southeast Asia, and they're never going to, go on a safari in Africa. But if we can create something that replicates that landscape and that experience for them, it helps to make that connection with wildlife, with the ecosystem, with the animals, and hopefully allows us to help move our guests to a point of caring about wildlife and nature, and wanting to conserve and protect and do their part to help preserve these animals for generations to come.
So Brookfield Zoo kind of already does that. You have Tropic World where there's the tropical animals. You have, but they're, like you said, they're all kind of separated. It's
Yeah.
penguins here. It's this animal here, this animal there. But what we're talking about here is you're mixing them together. Is that kind of state of the art for zoos nowadays? Is Brookfield Zoo kind of catching up to that? Do a lot of other zoos do it this way now?
There's a mix. We've been an innovator really since the zoo first opened. We were one of the first zoos to have these sort of moated grottos where animals that, back in the 1930s, you usually saw them behind bars in a fairly sterile cage. And we were one of the first zoos to really start to change that dynamic. And we have been an innovator and pushed boundaries with habitats like Tropic World that, really brought guests into a totally different experience. And so with this plan, we're really looking to continue to kind of push the boundaries of what's new and what's exciting and what works within a zoo. And there are certainly other zoos out there that have these kind of mixed habitats, but it's one of the things that I really love about the zoo and aquarium community is that there's such a collaborative nature between these different facilities. And so, we have the opportunity to share our successes, but we also have an opportunity to learn from others. So as we take other zoos examples of what's worked, we're going to continue to try and do that better and bolder, and really create an even more engaging and dynamic experience for our guests.
Dr. Mike Adkesson here, the president and CEO of Brookfield Zoo, talking about their new century plan. If somebody wants more information, brookfieldzoo.org, correct? It's all on there?
Correct, yes.
So as things start to change and things move and things are torn down and built up over the next 10, 15 years, you kind of have to be careful with Brookfield Zoo, I would imagine, because there's a lot of history, man. There's the carousel, the archways, the different animal houses that are there that have been there for so long. How do you take care of the history? What are some of the things that you're going to definitely make sure either stay where they are or stay available to visitors?
We have so much to offer just in that historic preservation standpoint, and it's something that's really important to us. It's our history, it's our legacy. We want to stay very true to that, and so we've really defined out kind of this historical core in the center of the zoo, and that includes Roosevelt Fountain right there in the middle that we just redeveloped with new landscaping last year. It includes the North Gate and the South Gate archways that everybody recognizes, and then some of the original buildings that made up the zoo in terms of the reptile house, the perching bird house, the primate house, the lion house. We have repurposed some of those buildings in different ways, new habitats, new exhibits, but really remaining committed to that architectural styling of the building. As we look ahead, the Pachyderm building is another one that, that's such an iconic structure. Everybody, immediately recognizes that building. And it's one that we're making a commitment to keeping the historical shell of that building, but really looking to completely just reinvigorate what we're doing with that space. And we see that building as an opportunity to make an incredible space for our guests that would, have a glass wall that has them looking out onto this African savanna. So rather than the animals being in that building, we're going to flip it to where it's a people-focused building that looks out into this incredible wide open habitat for all of this African wildlife. And
I think that's a good idea, because
yeah.
as historical as the Pachyderm house is, when you walk in there and you picture those huge animals, elephants and hippos, and it's not the most it's not the most welcoming place for an animal in that building, to be fair, right?
And you're absolutely right. And and it's a great example of, it was built back in the 1920s, and at the time that was how we cared for animals. And today we care for them completely differently. And we've made hard decisions over the years to stop having elephants, to stop having hippos, because we could not care for them in that building the way that they needed to be cared for. And so for us to be able to move past that building and stay true to the history of it, but move forward with new animal holding facilities elsewhere, it's a win-win.
I think even more iconic than how that building looks is how that building smells.
Yeah.
Brookfield Zoo knows exactly how the Pachyderm house smells.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So, well, you mentioned elephant. Well, maybe I mentioned elephants first, but you mentioned elephants and hippos as well. But now that things are changing and you're going to have different ways to care for those larger animals, are elephants making their way back to Brookfield Zoo?
They are. So, we see an opportunity where we have 35 acres of space that we're looking to develop into this new Gateway for Africa area. And within that, we have the habitat space to care for elephants and to do it well in a way that ensures the health and the well-being, physical and psychological, for the elephants. Elephants are in crisis around the world right now. We're seeing massive declines in both Asian and African elephant populations. And for us, that's something that we really feel a need to respond to. And there is really just no replication for seeing an elephant up close. And we feel that, kids throughout the state of Illinois should have that opportunity to see an elephant up close and to understand why they should care about them, why they should want to protect them and conserve them. And it's an opportunity for us to make that connection, where we know most kids, most adults are never going to see an elephant in the wild. But if we can get them here at the zoo and allow them to make that connection, we hope that we can play a part in the conservation of those animals around the world. And we've got exciting plans within that habitat of an opportunity for what we're calling a savanna track. That's an opportunity. It's about a half-mile worth of trail that would connect these different habitats together. So we can keep animals active. We can keep the environment changing, moving to new spaces on a daily basis. And with that, we are very confident that we can provide an incredible home for elephants. And there's elephants in zoos right now that need homes. And so, we want to be part of that.
Are there other animals that haven't been at Brookfield Zoo that you're excited to have back because of these new changes, besides just elephants?
Yeah, there are. Nile hippos are another one that we are excited to bring back. Nile crocodiles are one that we've had different alligators and crocodiles off and on over the decades, but right now it's an animal that we don't have a large crocodile here at the zoo. So bringing that animal back is one that we're excited about. The addition of cheetahs, the addition of takin. There's just a variety of new animals within this plan that we're really excited about being able to connect people here in Chicago to.
Talk about kind of guest experience here. I think the first thing people might notice once things all said and done is the new way to get in, especially for most people who park in the north lot. We're not taking the tunnel anymore. No more tunnel.
We are looking to move past the tunnel. The tunnel and parts of the zoo from a flooding standpoint have been a chronic challenge for us with where we sit between the river and the creek. And so really looking to redevelop that north arrival experience from start to finish. So we know we need investment in our north parking lot there. It's an aged facility. So really renovation of that north parking lot, looking at a new bridge over 31st Street to make a more appealing entrance into the zoo, give you an opportunity to get up. You'll see the Chicago skyline off in the distance, and then really arrive into a refreshed North Gate experience where we're looking at new habitats for sea lions and penguins there at the North Gate. So you come in and you've immediately got some really active, energetic, exciting animals that are essentially greeting you as you come into the zoo. And really making better use of technology. So it's a more seamless, quick entry experience, automation of parking, of ticketing in a way that, we want to get you in as quick as we can so that you can start enjoying an incredible day with friends and family here at the zoo.
I think that'd be the biggest complaint, right? If you talk to people who come to the zoo often, if it's a nice day on a weekend, you're going to wait in line to get into that parking lot for a pretty significant amount of time.
Yeah, and that's something that we really are very committed to making better.
Mm-hmm. Where did the money come from? Like, because how much is this all? What's the price tag on this whole 15-year project? It's got to be mind blowing.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. It's a big investment in Chicago, and we feel that it's a good one. The investment in our cultural institutions, the investment in the zoo, and in the programming that we do is money well spent. And we're looking at around a $500 million investment over the next decade. $100 million of that going towards endowment to help maintain our financial stability long term, making sure that we can afford to care for the animals as well as the facilities we have. And then a $400 million capital investment. And that's something that we've already started. Over the last 2 years, we've made a lot of major investment within the zoo already. People will notice changes throughout the park that have already taken place in terms of Roosevelt Fountain, the new Sweet Center for Animal Care, the addition of koalas this year, a sandhill crane and prairie chicken aviary that just opened last week. We've got a lot of exciting things happening. And then obviously tropical forest is a big part of that. So out of that 400 million, we're about halfway there in terms of committed funding. And we'll be working hard on raising the rest of that in the years ahead.
Talk about some of maybe the shiny new toys that, you guys get to play with and the visitors get to enjoy. It looks like there was an amphitheater on the map, a zip line. What other kind of guest experiences are we going to be able to see when this is all said and done?
Sure. We added the Ferris wheel this year to help celebrate our 90th anniversary, and that was a 1-year addition that has been a huge hit. We love having it. It's a
awesome.
Great way to get up, see the zoo, see the skyline. It's just an incredible experience. So that's one that we're looking at as a long-term opportunity. Looking at a zip line as another one. Again, get you up high, give you a different perspective over the zoo. So those are two that we're really excited about. This amphitheater is really looking at taking the big cat habitats. So when we move our lions or tigers or leopards over to new habitats within these immersive regions on the western part of the zoo, keeping the backdrop of that, that history and that rock work that we were talking about, kind of the historical preservation piece of it, using that as the shell of a new amphitheater. I think it's amazing opportunity for us to really create something special. And we've had great luck with summer concerts over the last year. And it's a way for us to bring new audiences into the zoo, engage new people that may otherwise not think of an evening at the zoo. And looking at it as everything from an evening concert to a community group or high school play to a symphony on a Sunday afternoon at the zoo. Just so many different ways we could go with that amphitheater facility, and really using that to just build some new excitement.
That's pretty cool. Anything else on the map that you kind of look at and say, "Oh, that's going to be really neat," or "That's going to be really cool"? They're going to really dig that. Anything else
Yeah,
pop out at you?
the conservation campus area is one that I think we're really excited about just from an impact standpoint. So this centers around the Hamill Family Nature Plaza and all of our science and research programs, our animal care programs. It's an opportunity for us to let guests see behind the scenes, and really working to bring that behind the scenes into the scene, so that our guests have an opportunity to watch our veterinarians in action, to understand the quality of care that we provide for our animals. It's a chance for our guests to see our field biologists at work with sample testing, and understand the work that we do here locally within the Chicagoland region, within the forest preserves, to conserve and protect wildlife and natural habitats, as well as our programs that extend all around the world, from our dolphin research program in Sarasota to our conservation programs in Peru with penguins and fur seals. It's a chance to really let our guests see everything else that goes on here from a mission standpoint.
It's going to be pretty neat, man. You got to be excited. I know as a Brookfield Zoo lifer, I'm excited to see it.
Yeah,
I wish it wasn't going to take 10 to 15 years.
I know. I think that's the hardest part for all of us is, we wish we could just snap our fingers and make it happen tomorrow, because it's going to be wonderful. We're so excited about it.
So I told our listeners and our friends that we were going to be talking to you, and everyone who lives in this area goes to Brookfield Zoo. It's a family tradition for decades and generations. So they have a lot of questions. Not everyone has the opportunity to talk to the leader of Brookfield Zoo. So would you mind if we ask you some listener questions?
Absolutely, I'd love to.
Okay, first, this one is from Johnny. It's an easy one. We're going to set you up with a softball first, Dr. Mike. What is your favorite animal at the zoo? Don't worry, they're not listening. You won't hurt anyone's feelings.
I was going to say, you say this is the easiest question, but it's the hardest. It's like picking your favorite child. I love giraffes, penguins, and sea lions are the ones I usually say is my top three, but that's only when, nobody else is listening, because I don't like to hurt the animals' feelings.
That's okay. All right. This one it came off as juvenile, but I think it's a legitimate question. What do you do with all the poop? Tom and Oswego. Yeah. There's got to be a lot of poop. What do you do with it?
There is. So we a combination of composting and landfill.
Yeah. Fair enough. Do you take it on site, or do you have to ship it off for composting?
We've done both. Right now, we're not doing a lot of on-site, but when we had elephants, that was a much more. It worked much better. That was a lot of poop production there for sure.
Let us know when those trucks leave the area, so we could try to avoid getting behind it. Okay. We asked this one already. Are elephants going to be back at Brookfield Zoo? I wanted to know that one. You already answered that, so thank you very much.
Yeah.
What is the one thing at the zoo that you wish everyone got to experience but probably hasn't?
My best answer to this is a beautiful warm winter day right after a fresh snow. That is just an experience. It is a completely different way to see the zoo, and we have animals, bison, snow leopards, polar bears, that it's their natural element, and just to watch those animals sort of frolic in the snow is just an incredible experience that a lot of people don't ever get to witness.
Being open 365 days a year lends itself to that. And I think what's cool about Brookfield Zoo is it kind of adapts with the seasons. So that kind of brings us to our next question. What is your favorite holiday at Brookfield Zoo? You just mentioned all the snow in the winter time. Is Christmas time your favorite, or do you like Halloween, or what's your favorite?
That's a tough one. That's a toss up between Halloween and Christmas for sure. The winter holidays are just such a beautiful way to see the zoo. But I am a big Halloween fan, and I always love seeing all of the costumes that our guests show up with for Boo at the Zoo. There's something terribly entertaining about watching a kid dressed as a zombie in our goat yard feeding our goats, or those types of interactions between our costumed guests and the animals are pretty fun.
You guys do Halloween right, but the light show that you guys have during the holiday season is spectacular. It is
Thank
so
you.
cool.
Yeah, thank
That's
you. We've
my
got
favorite. That's
some exciting new additions planned this year also, so we'll be sharing more on that soon.
fair enough. Okay, I'll keep my eye open. Here's a good one from someone who's an insider. What is a zoo hack that people should know? Something we can actually do to maybe make our zoo experience easier, more fun, a little bit different. Do you have a zoo hack for us?
Zoo hack. It's a good one. I would say that a lot of people don't know about some of the incredible wildlife encounters that we offer. So, that information's on the website, and there's some really neat programs that give people the opportunity to spend time with our animal care specialists and get a behind the scenes look and a chance to learn more about some of our animals. So that's one. The other one I would say that we just started this year is our flamingo parade that happens on a daily basis as our flamingos move from their overnight bedrooms in the swamp off to the formal pool on a daily basis, and they're walked through the zoo, and it's just a neat thing to see. So that would be one I would encourage people to make a point at coming to.
Mine is parking in the South lot. I think it is well worth the $5 for a member or whatever it is. I'll pay that all day to not have to we park, in the very end of the North lot and everything. The South lot is my place to be. I love that.
Yes.
Let's see here. If you can give one zoo species the ability to communicate or talk with humans, which species are you bestowing that on? Or are you,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I'm going to go with penguins on this one.
Really?
I thoroughly enjoy the penguins in the Madagascar movies, and I'd like to think that that is the voice and the intelligence level at which all penguins operate. So.
So they clearly would have that. Whoever designed the personality of the penguins in Madagascar probably got it right.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, this one, a bit of a hypothetical. Stay with me here. If a giraffe were to wear a necktie, would it be tied up by its chin or down by its shoulders? Thank you to Danielle and Aurora for that question.
That's a great one.
You tell me, where's the best place to put a necktie on a giraffe?
I feel like you've got to go high with that one, because I just feel like otherwise it's just not going to look right. So yeah, I'm going to say under the chin.
Under the chin, but long enough to also go down past the chest area.
Yeah.
Similar question here. Can we get a 21 and over area in the new zoo with swearing parents? You don't have to answer that.
That's probably a no, but there are plenty of zoos out there that have at some point in time had a parrot that has picked up something that is not appropriate language that has caused some challenges.
Had to be. I would imagine if they could pick up on guest language, they would pick up on some colorful language.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being a vet for so long, this has got to be a good one to ask you. An amazing animal fact that I can use at parties to sound really smart. That's a good one from Sam.
Boy, that's a good one. Let's see. How about well, let's go with dolphins.
Pressure.
A lot of people don't realize that the blowhole on a dolphin is really kind of the equivalent of their nose. It is where their airway connects through, and would be the same as the sort of having your larynx in your throat sort of attached into the back of your nose. A lot of people think that blowhole is something totally different and that they're breathing through their mouth, which is not the case.
One more here. What is your favorite zoo outside of Chicago? You don't even have to show love to Lincoln Park because that's not part of the question.
I worked at St. Louis Zoo for a number of years, and it's an incredible zoo. So I'll take St. Louis for my answer on that one.
Did you take some ideas for the new Brookfield Zoo from other zoos across the country? Did you get some inspiration from St. Louis or Indianapolis?
We have, yeah, we've spent a lot of time, a number of trips to other zoos and really looking at, what other places are doing and what's worked well and what can we learn from it.
Can you tell us which ones and what you learned?
Oh, yeah, yeah. We've did a trip out to the Bronx Zoo that inspired a number of points within tropical forests. The way that their Congo gorilla rainforest is laid out, really just the look and the feel of that is a big part of what inspired aspects of tropical forest. It's a incredible exhibit, and one that I would definitely, that's a great zoo. I would encourage people to get out there. National Zoo in Washington, D.C. is another one that we did a visit out to, and a number of aspects of just their general look and feel of the grounds has been driving a lot of the landscape changes that we've been putting into place here at the zoo.
Mm-hmm. Well, man, it's been eye-opening to talk to you. It got me more excited than I was before.
Good.
Your excitement and energy about it, I think, is we can tell. So, yeah, it's an exciting time for Brookfield Zoo, and I'm excited to see where it's going to go and how much the plan gets to fruition. It's going to be cool, man. Is there anything that you think we should have asked that we didn't ask? Anything exciting that I haven't noticed?
Gosh, we've just got so much exciting things going on right now that if people, I would say if someone hasn't been out here recently, come out and give us a visit. This North American prairie aviary we just opened last week, $1 million project, sandhill cranes, prairie chickens. We'll have some other North American birds added into that soon, but back of the Hamill Family Nature Plaza really is allowing us to tell a great story of local conservation programs here in Chicago. So something that we're real excited about right now. And then our koalas that joined us this year, Willem and Brumby koala, wonderful addition, a lot of excitement around that. And we're really looking forward to some redevelopment around our Australia house here within the next phase of the next century plan as well. And looking at the opportunity to maybe have koalas be a part of that long term.
Fantastic. All these details are over at brookfieldzoo.org, their next century plan. Dr. Mike, it's been a lot of fun talking to you, man. Thank you, and good luck getting through this stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me today.